So, hello. We are back from the break, and knock knock. Are you still in the time bank?
Yes.
Still undecided.
Yes.
And now there is not the usual after the break comment from MarkusY that the music sucks. When it's your own music, it's going to be a bit harder to say. Now, I actually think that it's good, and I had your other band project, and actually our intro music it's made by MarkusY and his brother, so we might be a bit biased. But I'm Aarnimetsa, and we are having MarkusY here as our moderator in PokerArmenia.com, and I think this has been quite a fun evening thus far, so let's try to carry it on and see how long it keeps to be fun. So I think that we can start with the what would you prefer now that would you prefer seeing the one final table or carrying on with these harder hands?
Uh, I'm fine with both.
That's going to make the decision so much
I
easier.
think I think the final table was pretty easy because well it wasn't easy final table but it's easier for me to go through by myself because it's a turbo tournament, so it's pretty much calculating the shove ranges and stuff.
So I think we can also go through the last last part of those hands that we had. Oh noes. There are only 3 hands left. Let's go through this and then let's go with the turbo reminder through the final table.
Yeah.
This is your favorite hand, isn't it?
Yes.
What do you think that we should do here?
I think I will prefer calling with jacks here. 3-bet is also an option, but I think I would call.
I think I would actually prefer 3-betting with pocket jacks to calling, but with this kind of a stack depth, with calling there's still a lot that it's going to be even a good call if we are only thinking about set mining with pocket jacks, and with pocket jacks there's going to be so much more value than just check set mining. I'm just thinking that when we are out of position with pocket jacks and the pot is going to be multi-way, we are going to invite problems if we are just calling instead of 3-betting.
Yeah.
Like if we are 3-betting here, then we are going to usually make it a bit easier on ourselves. I'm thinking that folding is going to be horrible, but calling or raising, I see merits of both. And we are getting our multi-way pot, and we are getting our overcard. So this is exactly what you are expecting from pocket jacks.
Yeah. Well, checking this obviously.
Yeah, I agree with you. Opponent bets for a full pot.
I'm not sure. I might just fold this. It's a bit weak, but there's still a player behind us who hasn't attacked, so. Yeah, calling or folding.
This guy has already acted once, so he had checked once.
Yeah.
And the guy on the button is the one to bet. I'm thinking that
Yeah.
when he bets the full pot, then folding gets to be. I think that this is between folding and calling, and raising is going to be. It's going to be the worst option in here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we elect to call here. I think that when there is going to be a spot that there's a king on the board, it's going to be slightly more likely that the button opener will have the king here, especially when he bets big on the flop.
Yeah.
And now it starts to really look like pocket jacks. Not one, but two overcards. Flush draw coming together. Yeah, everything. So one good point that the flush draw came through is that you are also having a flush draw here. But if we are thinking about it, if we are thinking about it here, and what should we do as we are the first to act?
Check this, and
Yeah.
I think I'm folding to second barrel here. Usually.
Yeah, the aces, even though you are having a second nut draw, but the aces generally it's still quite horrible.
Yeah.
Depends also on the second barrel size. If he second barrels for a full pot, then it's easy fold, but if it's like a third of the pot, then we are getting about what we require. Like we are having about 11 good outs for a flush or a. No, we are having about 13 outs, so it's going to be good for even a half pot bet here with just the equity that we are having. But I think it's going to be a mistake if we are folding to a half pot bet here. Against a
Yeah.
pot-sized bet we can fold, but and even against a pot-sized bet it's going to be on the edge. Not flush on the river. What shall we do?
I would bet for value here.
This is
I think.
probably one of those spots that at first we are like, always, all of the overcards come. And only then we start to think that, oh, we are having a flush here. But we should bet here. And what did you say was the sizing you prefer?
Maybe I would go for something like 500.
I think 400 to 500 to entice people to call with just pairs. I don't like to check that much when we have face to check on the turn already.
Yeah.
So I would like to have a bet here, but when an opponent bets, it's going to be either a raise or a call. What is
Yeah.
it?
I think I'm racing here.
How much?
Well, maybe 1.2 or something like that.
Yeah, I could go with 1.2 as well. This is one of those spots that these stack sizes are going to be almost good enough to shove, but I think we are going to get markedly more calls if we are going for a small 3-bet. This is going to be a bit of a high side. And this is going to be like thinking about all the research from the shops that if we are seeing that opponent would need to have over 1,000 chips to call. I'm thinking that he's going to call it way less than. Like in here, like 1440 chips would be better than 1470.
Yeah.
And Donita says that something I have always wondered, what does the percentages behind the nicks in the replayer mean? On Poker Tracker replayer, the percentages are if an opponent is having a completely random hand. So Pocket Jacks is having 97% against a completely random hand here. And Eulos Pro says that ain't his calling range elastic though. Eulos Pro, could you please elaborate a bit on that? That what do you mean by an elastic calling range here? If elastic calling range means that it changes a lot depending on what kind of a bet, what size of a bet you are facing, then I'm agreeing, but I don't know what elastic in this spot means. We are going to get a 3-bet on the river. What should we do after?
Well, calling this.
Obviously.
Yeah.
What does your opponent have here?
Well, he might have some kind of full house, but
There shouldn't be that many full houses.
yeah.
There are way many like 2-paired hands or way more hearts.
Yeah. But of course, calling this.
So Eulos Pro means with elastic, with an elastic range that if he has hands that he will bet and call, that he would call without regards of what's the sizing. I'm thinking that in general people in these kind of situations are the bet sizing will have an effect. I don't actually. It's hard to think on a river situation because there are so many different runouts. And our opponent had pocket sixes with a heart. Ace King. What do we do here?
Racing. I use 2.5 big blinds from cutoff these stack sizes.
I don't think the sizing matters too much here.
Yeah.
As long as it isn't like 150.
Yeah.
Opponent checks.
Either checking this or I could bet here and then go for a check and on the turn and hope he bets the river as a bluff. That's also an option.
I'm thinking that with a strong ace here, I would probably prefer a check here, as I don't think that we are going to have that many good things happening if we are betting here.
Yeah.
So I like your check on the flop. Opponent bets the turn.
Calling this.
And Eulos process I would value bet flop. Yeah, I think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be close. Should we value bet or should we? And check weaker aces. Yeah, with ace king that we are also having 2 overcards, so it's going to play a lot better than in general. The opponent checks the river. What shall we do?
Betting for value here.
What's the sizing?
120 or some, about half a pot.
I think in this situation that my instinct would be to bet a bit bigger and hope for my opponent to. Like, I'm thinking about going to a bet size of even 200 here and hope that an opponent will. Because I don't think that there are too many hands that our opponent will bet the turn and then just. I'm thinking that when an opponent will bet the turn, there are hands that he will call a larger sizing as well, value. Okay, you bet 120 chips, and as I said, I would like to have bet a bit larger here, but opponent re-raised.
Well, calling this.
I think also that calling is going to be the best here. Like, opponent probably doesn't believe that we are having much here, and yeah, this line could mean that he's having a 9 here. But I'm just thinking that when he checks the river, even if it's a check raise, I'm thinking that he's going to be full of it enough of the time that.
Yeah.
And he might also try to check raise for value a weaker king here. And he's full of it. This seems to be a sit and go reg, I think.
And there's a slight delay on my stream, so I will refresh it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be funny if MarkusY would have had like a 2-minute delay on the stream, and then like we are just trying to get him to act that now it's your time bank. But oh well. We are raising ace king. On the flop, what should we do? We are the first raiser and there are 2 callers.
I'm betting here like 190 chips or over half a pot. Like.
And there's actually a good comment on Julospro that how often does a random MTT villain bluff here toe that I'm tempted to fold. That's on the previous hand on the river.
Yeah, well, I think they do bluff pretty often in those kinds of spots. That doesn't make really much sense. They just decide to, for some reason, they just decide to go for a bluff, and it doesn't make any sense. But I think they do it pretty often, more than you would think.
I'm thinking let's get back to this hand a bit later. But like when flop goes check check and it goes to bet call and then opponent checks, I'm thinking that in general the problem is that this guy's range is going to be so large at this point in the hand that because his range is so large and there is like so many hands that haven't hit, even if he goes for check raise here, which usually is a value line, I'm thinking that even though he goes for a strong line on the river, he's just going to have way too many hands here that we are beating still. So that there will be enough crap in his range as well.
And also, this is from the beginning of the tournament, so they tend to make those wild plays there more often than later stages when getting closer to the money.
But yeah, let's go to the flop. Back to the flop. Sounds also almost like Back to the Future. But yeah, we are on the flop with ace king. We raised pre-flop, we got 2 callers. We are second to act on the flop. What do we do?
Yes, about 2/3 of the pot I would bet here.
I think 1/2 of the pot to 2/3. Both are fine. And Danita says that is he value raising worse kings sometimes? I think he is. There is a and Eulos Pro probably answered to Danita that he shouldn't, but he might. Like, I think the self-evident line for weaker kings on the river, especially when your opponent has only called the turn and checked behind on the flop, I think the general line for a king would be to bet there himself and not to go for a check raise. Eulos Pro nailed it. Like, I think King X bets the river itself often. And we are on the turn. There's 1 player remaining with the ace king hand. What do we do?
I'm betting somewhere around 300.
Yeah, we could go to 300 to 450. I like it. We get raised.
Oh. It's a pretty big race.
You shouldn't give me such hard hands if you don't want the time bank.
Yeah. It's a pretty nasty board since it hits his range pretty well, I think, but shoving or folding.
What do you think would be the best option? Like, there is no time for a snap decision that beep 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 beep.
Okay, I will just shove it.
I think that in this spot that when there are so many draws available, I would be tempted to go for it as well. Because I think that when opponent has called pre-flop, there are not that many value hands that you get beaten instantly. But I think there are a ton of draws your opponent can have.
Yeah, that's why calling I don't think is here a good option. So it would be all shove or fold. But I'm not. I think shoving is best here.
It's in a way it's a bit icky that we are having both of the best, like we are blocking both of the best flush draws, but I'm thinking in here that we can be aggressive because there shouldn't be like, and then there are also a ton of hands that we are an opponent villain is having a combo draw here that he's having like a jack and jack 10 or ace 10 or something like that he's having a combo here that we are beating the first part of the hand, and I don't think that opponent is calling pre-flop with something like ace 8 or jack 9 or. And Danita also said that we are blocking some draws here, not sure how much it matters here. Yeah, as I said that it's, in a way it's nasty that we are blocking the best draws. But I don't think that it matters too much here because opponents can play their draws pretty much like nuts here. But I don't hate folding here. I'm just thinking that it would probably be a bit better to go for it.
Yeah.
Because his range, in my opinion, his range will have so many draws in that situation. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the nasty hands,
Yeah.
because there were plenty of nasty hands. Let's disable the HUD. This seems to be interesting. We are starting the final table with.
I'm not sure if this is actually the final table. I don't. Maybe we should skip some hands.
There are, like, when players are changing, then it's quite sure that it's not the final table.
Late reg. I think
Now we probably
this
should.
might be.
Now we probably should make a calculation that if we are being in the final table. Like now it's 10, 0, 4, 9, 7, 11, 0. I think now we are on the final table.
Yeah.
Because the stacks are even.
I can. At least I can see my heads up villain there, so I remember his name. So.
So in here we can actually show that this is the tournament. This is the huge trophy for today.
Yeah.
$150 for a $10 game. So there were not a lot of players taking place. I think, and you said that this is quite close to the 45 player PokerStars structure, and I think this is kind of like, this is bang on.
Yeah, this was early in the morning, so there wasn't really much games running and small fields, so they are more like sit and goes.
Small fields aren't a bad thing. I think in MTTs, even if there are like scheduled MTTs, they are going to take more bad players in. I think this is going to be quite self-evident fold.
Yeah.
So let's go with a kind of a turbo. And this is going to be a self-evident fold.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a fold as well, I think.
Yeah.
This is actually something that it's going to be pretty easy to check. Like,
yeah.
What kind of a range does our opponent need to have here? I think it's going to be that it's going to need to be like close to 30% or more, because there are also so many. Like if we are facing this kind of open that we are on the big blind, I think that this is going to be a call with our stack size always. And as I said that this is going to be easy.
Okay.
This isn't going to be easy. Because the iPoker hand histories and aren't playing that nicely together. Because iPoker has the hand histories in the XML format.
Well, actually, there was 7 places paid, so I think it's a fold. This is in the bubble, isn't it?
This is in the bubble.
Yeah, then I would fold this. Yeah.
And we are having the smallest stack, so if we are calling this and if we are losing it,
Yes,
we are going to be
yes,
out of the money. And usually the first step into the money is going to be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And here the MP1, if he's opening 13%, like your calling range is going to be that big, and if we are going to like
Yeah.
plot range versus hand equities for MP2, and MP2 is going to have ace-3 off, I don't like, even if he's playing any two cards here. Well, even though I'm looking at ace-3 off, I don't believe that ace-5 off is that far off. So I'm thinking in here that this is going to be a bad idea.
Yeah, it's definitely a fold. I'm not sure.
And you are not including antes. Yeah, like I probably screwed this up really badly because I couldn't paste it, and then my blinds are going to be completely wonky. So blinds and antes 250 and 500. Do you remember what are the antes? Like 50 chip antes.
I'm not sure.
I saw 50 chips at the beginning, so let's start again. And Danita said it doesn't seem that it matters though. Like bigger antes, they are making that there's more to play, but also they are making that when our villain shoves, he's going to get called so much more often. But now we can actually select the correct hand, and this usage is the wrong player, so we are like completely doing every wrong move you can do with the home resources calculator during one single hand.
Yeah.
This should be a teaching film, like how not to use it, but it doesn't matter actually.
Yeah, it's still a fold. Yes.
Yeah, even I thought that 30% would be good, but then I wasn't thinking about that this is in the exact bubble. And in a way, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you are in the bubble, and this guy is going for full-on kamikaze mode. And Calleon says that this is a good hand to check when hero barely covers villain. And yeah. So let's have like 200 and 300 chips for hero here. And I think that now you will have a range that it will be profitable for you to call. And it's going to be that if you are calling here, then like there are certain kind of permutations that when you are going to get in the money, and if you are having the smallest stack, the only way you are making the money is that you are winning. If you are the second smallest stack, you are making the money when you are yourself winning the pot, and you are also making money when you are second in the pot and the largest stack is winning, or when you are third in the pot and the largest stack is winning. So, and like now there is the 16.6%, and if we are looking at it for ace 5 off, we should see it like go plus EV to when your opponent is going for it with 80% range. So it doesn't matter do we cover our opponent in this spot or not.
Yeah.
Next hand 10-8 off should be an easy fold.
Yeah.
Should be an easy fold. Should be an easy shove. Good call for your opponent as well, but he's not running like a guy from Riihimäki. So should be an easy fold. Should be an easy shove. With the biggest stack, we should be able to abuse the power a lot.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this is going to be a big mistake to be folding.
Yes, I would definitely shove this, but
Like,
apparently I haven't.
this is something that if you are multi-tabling a lot, you can miss those spots, but even if those players aren't knowing anything about ICM, and now actually we should enable the HUD because there should be something good going on in these situations because there should be plenty of hands from our opponent. I wonder why the HUD does think that this is the first hand with our opponent, because we have seen multiple hands already, so... Oh well, let's just disable it and enable it later on then. 4-9 suited, what do you think?
I could even go for a min-raise fold here.
I think that if opponents are tight, min-raise folding is going to be really good here. We could also think about limping here, I think. Limping and then betting on the almost any flop.
Yeah.
One thing that I don't like here would be to shove.
Yeah, not shoving. Yeah.
And I just think that min raising or limping would generally be better than folding.
Yeah, I would like to min raise there. Yeah.
And we actually weren't in the final table because
Okay.
oh well.
Well, I think this is at least the final table then.
I don't think that it can be. Because the final table should start with like 9 players, I think.
Yeah.
This is actually one
Should we?
of those spots that when we are having like hands like pocket 7s or smaller, I could go for a shove here with about 15 big blinds.
Yes, that type of hand I would shove. Yeah.
Like this is something that you don't want to have happening when you are having a small to mid pair.
Yep.
Scratch that! I'm not used to the water in Riihimäki. And this is like, no matter what you are trying to do here, you are just trying to get money in. Now I'm trying to go forward that when we are getting to the real final table.
Yeah.
Now this should be the real final table.
Yeah.
Should be an easy fold. And now we actually should look the first hand again, but I still think that even when it isn't, there are going to be way too many players that are going to take part in the hand that ace-5 is not going to be good.
Yeah.
And Joel H said, how about pocket 7's push? And I don't like to see 3-bet with some kind of jack-10 suited. I think with the pocket 7's hand, you don't mind 3-betting. I think your equity gets screwed way worse if your opponents are flat calling. In general. I think like if opponents are 3-betting, it's going to be quite an easy spot to call. Because you are going to have pot odds to raise call anyway. Opponent shoves from hijack, should be an easy fold.
Yeah.
It depends. This guy is the largest stack, so if he's active, then... Now we are having some hands, so let's try to carry on with these hands. If we don't have any stats on our opponent, how he does with regards to steals, then we should start stealing more to see how he reacts. And a7 off is going to be a strong hand anyways. If your opponent is a 3-bet machine here, then I think shoving would probably be better, because in this case you want your opponent to fold and not 3-bet something like king 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And like now we have seen a 3-bet here, and then we are going to be a bit tighter, especially when he's the biggest stack. And queen 7 should be... It's something that could be debatable, but usually should be a... Let's unlock the layout and move the... I'm trying to go through the hands that are not important.
Yeah.
I think this is something that could be min-raised. Or
Yeah.
probably should be min-raised.
Yep.
It depends a lot on this guy. And such enormous antes. I don't think the antes are that big, and Callion said that shoving ace7 off might be best versus pretty much anyone. Yeah, actually, if we are going back to the ace7 hand, like in this spot, that especially if we know that this guy is a 3-bet machine, and we are having like 9.2 turning adjusted big blinds, shoving this would probably be the one of the best, or it not say one of the best options. I think it should be the best option here. Like when we are having a high card and a low card, or something like a small pocket pair. Those are going to be hands that are going to play really well if we are seeing all the 5 cards. Opponents can't do anything about it. So I'd say actually shoving this would be better than raise folding. And it's a bit funny for me to start saying that, because I'm usually the biggest advocate on that the MTT players are not raise folding enough on spots that it would be profitable. I think this is a fold. We are going to be too far away from the action.
Yeah.
And I think that this is going to be a mistake with king 10 off.
Yeah.
Especially when we are one step from the bubble.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. I don't even bother checking. Even though the average stack size is going to be smaller, then there's going to be the bigger stack is going to be in the big blinds. So I'm thinking that king 10 off, it's not horrible, but I don't think that it's plus EV.
Yeah.
And 8 queen off is going to be pretty easy. This is going to be nasty. What do you think?
I think I would fold there.
Yeah, with something like pocket threes, we want to have fold equity, and against this guy, we shouldn't have any fold equity. So, and I don't think that we are having enough stack to flat call this, even though the pot odds are awesome. So actually, we couldn't probably shove this profitably, but we could either flat call or fold. And I'm trying to get the... Actually in here, we are having still too little. The potters are just so enticing, like... And in the king 10 spot, like king queen is an easy push. I think I agree with Danita a lot. And I tried to go through it quickly. And I shouldn't, because now there's a question about it. I should probably charge extra for the iPoker hand histories. Oh well. Now it's just about writing. And 800, 400 and 100 chips ante. This is the worst spot for the holder measures calculator when we are just having to keep on waiting when there are 9 players on the table. We are UTG +1 here. And the Nash ranges are like King 10 off is going to be like 0.01% minus EV. But I think the problem in here is that we are, first of all, we are risking our whole tournament life, and second of all, the ranges that our opponents need to have are going to be really tight. So I'm actually thinking that King Jack off is, even though it's a Nash push, I think that it's going to be a fold in real life, because opponents are going to call wider than this. And Eulos Pro is going to take off. Well, good luck for your tournaments. And let's go forward. Like, yeah, in this case, even though the pot odds are going to be so awesome, this hand is going to suck most of the time in three-way pot, and we are not going to be deep enough against the opponent. It's going to be really close though. But I don't hate the fold here. And if like opponent would have something like 12,000 chips or 15,000 chips, then I would like to see a shove here pre-flop. We didn't see what our opponents had. King 7 suited should be a fold.
Yeah.
5-4 off. What do you think about it?
I'm folding against that big stack.
Yeah, I think so too. Donita said in pocket trees we only need to win like 1 to 2,000 more chips post flop to profitably set mine. We are required to win quite a sizable pot there. Might be that the antes are going to be so big that it's going to make a difference. Probably need to check that one later as well. Like, what do we need there? Might be a good idea to post into hand analysis as well.
Yeah.
King 8 off. What do you do here?
Folding.
Good. I agree. Should be a fold. Should be a fold. Something like Jack 9 suited probably would be a push there, but not 7, not 9-7 suited. It's a flying carpet, I think. But still not good enough. Five Jack, not good enough. King 6, well, played to perfection. Couldn't do any better. Ace King suited, can't fold really. Can't lose really also, so it's going to be a bit like this game is a bit spoiled that we already see that you win this one, but like Eulos Pro said that MarkusY is going to final table so many games that this probably is a final table. But I'm having a different theory. I'm having a theory that MarkusY isn't in the final table a lot. He just wins every game that he final tables, so
Yeah, that's why I'm usually 10th in most of the tournaments.
either 10th or 1st.
Yeah, there's nothing between those two.
I'm trying to find the next interesting hand. King Jack off. There's one player already all in from the Antes.
I would min raise this.
Yeah, this is one of those spots that I think min raise would be really good. Even though this guy seems to be... If he 3-bets us here, then I think it's going to be pretty good too. Pretty good to start playing a lot more careful around this guy and trying to just trap him when we get something good. Only lucky one calls. He checks.
I think checking our... I'm not sure if I should c-bet this here. Well, he shouldn't be folding a lot, but since he calls pre-flop, but I think he will fold a lot to c-bets still.
If he folds a lot to c-bets,
Yes, then c-betting, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense to c-bet, and I don't think that we are folding a lot of equity here either, because we are having king high and a gut shot, so not a lot of equity if we bet fold here.
Yeah.
I would now think that I would at least bet after 2 checks.
Yeah.
If he checks 3 times, then it doesn't. I think right now that our king high is probably good as well, so.
Yeah.
But on the turn, I think that we should have at least bet, and on the flop also. Like when I'm thinking about should I bet or not, then I'm thinking like what kind of showdown value I have, what kind of value I have for the next cards, like what kind of draw do I have. And if everything is like I don't have a lot of value to see the next cards, I don't have a lot of equity to fold here if I bet fold, then I would be quite apt to turn the hand into a bluff and if not check c-betting flop, I would check turn and river. I'm just thinking that in general, an opponent that checks twice is going to be folding so much on the turn. And I think the next queen is going to be such a blank. Well, this is played to perfection as well. Should be an easy fold. Should be an easy shove, I think. And there's the player that just couldn't. He was in 20 chips, I think. And now he's back with like almost 2 big blinds. Ace king suited, what do we do here?
I think min raising is min raise, yes.
Yeah, let's min raise and call everyone. Of course, if we are min raising, and we are seeing that this happens a lot, that we are getting the pot, then I'm starting to be apt to min raise a lot of crap from any sort of position. Like if opponents are letting me run over them, I'm trying to at least. Really nasty to get good cards on the big blind and nobody plays. King queen off. What do we do here?
I would raise this.
Yeah. We could raise or we could limp. If we limp here, then we are making it our opponent a bit nastier to play back at us.
Yeah.
It's quite of an easy situation for our opponent to just play shove or fold if we are raising here. But it's going to be like the risk to reward ratio for him to just easy shove over us if we limp is going to be a lot harder. And opponent just called. We are hitting the second pair. What do we do? Or what should we do?
Well, with this in this tournament situation, I would see bet this.
I think also that there would be some value in c-betting. And I think Danita has a good question on why 2.5xing pre.
Yeah, it could be a min raise there.
I haven't found a lot of difference on how opponents are, or how much opponents are playing back against a min raise than a larger raise, so I don't think that there is much point in going large. Although I think that the nits are going to get better in defending, so I think that it's going to be changing a bit, that people are knowing more to how much they should play against min raises, but if you are betting larger, they are going to be a bit thrown off. And there is like Callion says that check flop. Yeah, checking flop would be fine as well. I think that there is some value in getting also value from weaker kings if we are betting. And if we think that big blind is aggro, then I really dislike king queen. I think then I really dislike opening king queen. And Calleon's asked, ICM is too much to raise call. I think actually we can raise call in this situation. I don't think that there's a lot of ICM implications. If you have checked the flop, checked the turn, I actually like betting the river because there shouldn't be better hands. And if you bet the river and your opponent re-raises, what do you do?
I'm folding this.
What better hands your opponent should have if he has checked twice already?
Maybe some two pair hands, maybe. I'm not. I'm not actually sure.
Like, my point in here is that if opponent raises and we are folding, there shouldn't be that many better hands that our opponent can have here. When he has just gone for check twice.
Yeah.
And checking behind, so I think he would have some showdown equity. If he has something like King 8, I'm thinking that well played, but I'm thinking that there will be plenty of bluffs already in his. And Calleon said that he's repping basically river 2 pair, but there's practically nothing more that he's repping than river 2 pair. So I'm actually thinking that this should be a call, because it's going to be a narrow range that your opponent is repping there.
Yeah.
And Calleon asked, do we get more easily value from weaker King X by checking? I'm thinking that weaker King X are more likely to call than they are bet themselves, but it's going to be such a small part of our opponent's range. Let's actually go for exact start of the hand. This is also, this is such a interesting tournament in a way. I need to, because we haven't done a lot of these hands thus far, but as we can see here, these hands are flying by, like not the hands are flying by, but the blind levels are increasing so rapidly. Like, there's one orbit and like 2 blind level increases. Either this is a really quick tournament or let's try that. I should have gone for the advanced hand. But we could shove any 2 cards here if opponent plays perfectly. That's a pretty interesting idea. Now I must ask what. Oh. Waiting for the, can we min raise call here or not? Sometimes Hold'em Resources calculator is so slow in these situations. When we are having multiple players. And actually I could have made this a lot easier for Hold'em Resource calculator to calculate, to just eliminate all the races before us. Now it's like, if I have waited this long, that I don't want to. I don't want to waste all the time waiting, even though there is nothing else in the results that I would gain. The sunk costs. The sunk costs. Like button, no. Oh, I have limping on as well, so. That makes sense. Yeah, like the Calleon. Yeah, he's the man, but still he shouldn't be probably the. But I think Calleon was right in here that if we can't raise call king queen, why shouldn't we just shove it? 11.5 tournament adjusted big blinds, so there will be plenty of chips already in the pot. We are getting a ton of fold equity here, especially with the small stack here. Because if we are raise folding this, we are folding a lot of equity out. But I'm actually, like, this is one of those hands that I'm taking on U-turn, that if this isn't going to... I first thought that this is going to be a profitable raise call, but I probably didn't take this guy into account as much, because I thought that the steps in the price pool are going to be so balanced that, or so small that it doesn't matter that much to ladder up in the price pool. So I'm actually thinking that shoving this would make a lot of sense with king queen. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Do you disagree?
Yeah, I agree. Shoving would be better.
And especially if we are 2.5xing, then I think shoving makes even more sense.
Yeah.
King 8 off, what should we do here?
I would like to try to min bet this.
Why?
It's more fun than folding.
But what are you trying to achieve?
Well, yeah, maybe I should just fold it because let the big stack go with the.
I think the problem in here somewhat is that even though this guy is going to be like, there is one guy with random hand and then there is with king 8 off, and we are ahead, but we are not a lot ahead, and if this guy shoves, we are going to need to fold a sizable amount of chips.
Yeah.
It's like this kind of a hand is one of those hands that we wanna play, but like if there would be this figurehead between us or only lucky, then we could shove pretty easily, but I'm thinking that this ends in tears way too often if we are betting. And it's better to let these guys, like we are also, our equity is increasing when these two guys collide. And that's something to take into account as well. And this is one of the good points of public-private coaching. Like in here, Danita and Calleon are saying that limping is also an option. And limping also induces team play, which would be good for us. It's nice to have extra eyes, I think, because I think right now that limping would probably be better. Then we are risking even less against the KDG if he shoves. And we are going to get against the small. And I don't think that there's that much difference in the range that the KDG plays. With ace-jack, he probably would have shoved anyways, and we would have folded our king 8 off. But I'm thinking that if we are playing that hand, we should be limping.
Yeah.
Actually, interesting. This is also one reason that you should always learn about the rules of the place that you are playing in. Like in this case, because we are playing on iPoker, like when the guy that should be on the big blind next hand gets eliminated, or when the big blind gets eliminated, Then on the next hand we have a situation that we are having only big blind, no small blind. But if we would be playing on Poker Stars, this guy that's now on the big blind would be posting a small blind. And this might sometimes be like if there is a situation that the big blind will get eliminated really often or the small blind will get eliminated really often, usually it doesn't make that much sense to desperation shove in those situations on Poker Stars, because you can avoid your big blind. But on iPoker, you are getting your big blind if it's your turn, no matter what. And Calleon says that this is how it should work. In my opinion, PokerStars system is pretty stupid, in my opinion. I don't think that it's about what system is stupid or not, but I think it's more about when you are playing poker, these small things, especially if this is something like a super turbo game, like this seems to be, it makes a lot of, it sometimes makes a lot of difference in that you know how the rules are for the game that you are playing. I made that sound pretty stupid again, like it's good to know the rules of the game you are playing. Yep. But these are edge cases. So, pocket nines. What should we do?
Shoving would be best, I think.
Yeah. We are going to get screwed if either of these guys are going to be flat calling. And shove is good. But in here, with pocket aces, what should we do?
Min raise would be better here.
Yep. And what should we do?
Keep on betting.
How big?
About 5 to 6,000.
I would actually like to bet something like 3,000 here. To try to induce a raise or try to induce more calls.
Yeah, it might be better.
And it's just one of those situations like this blind system that what happens after elimination. It's just one of those systems that there is difference between different poker sites. I think that the moving button system is what they are using mostly in live poker. So like Poker Stars is closer to live poker. I think. But I must say I'm not sure. I have more experience from different online poker sites than Poker Stars. I think Full Tilt Poker does the moving button as well, and On Game and iPoker are doing the system of only having a big blind, no small blind at all, if one of those blinds are getting eliminated. Okay, pocket sixes. What shall we do?
Well, I think we could shove this here.
I'm thinking that shoving in general would probably be okay, but this guy seems quite fishy, and I don't know that if he's playing that well, and if he's calling too much, shoving will be a catastrophe. I'm thinking that we are also getting fine enough odds to set mine.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't probably want to fold, but I would probably go for a set mine here. Because this guy looks to be fishy, and if we are going to be two big stacks, we don't want to be colliding, if we can avoid it. I don't want to be folding this at any cost, because we need to pay only 1,400 chips, and we are having about 20 times as much left in our stacks.
Yeah, that's a mistake, yeah.
So that's actually, and it's really interesting to see that this guy calls for calls for about half of his stack and then folds the flop. What? I know that this might seem that this is a horrible flop, but still, it's half of his stack gone. — 5-9 off, going to be a fold. Pocket sevens. What do you think about this here?
I think I would just shove it.
Yeah, I think this is something that people are also making mistakes, that they're looking like, I have almost 20 big blinds, I can't shove it. But this is a hand that it sucks on the flop. You are having an opponent that will probably flat call way too much. And this hand plays really well. Your opponents can't do anything if you just shove here. Like, there's not anything that they can do that your equity would be harmed.
Yeah.
And this is one point why you don't.
Yeah.
Because now you need to fold, and was your fold good? Was it not? You don't know. Like ace king and ace queen, I don't think that it matters that much.
Yeah, I would like to shove there.
Caleon, what hand are you referring that you are maybe calling because stack distribution is kind of ugly? And in here, now that the big stack is on our left side, that's probably the worst situation that we can have. And he's also not aggressive against the blinds, so should be an easy fold. Well, one good point is that we are also getting a lot of walks here. I'm thinking, what are you thinking about 5-7 off?
Well, this would be also a hand that could be limped and limp stabbed.
Yeah, I don't hate limp stab. I think limp stab or fold.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is much value in doing anything else with 7-5 off. I don't hate folding against this guy when he's also the largest stack on the table by far.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the pocket sixes. What's the... Yeah, this is the point that we want to call this for sure. How many hands there are? There are like 7 hands more, so... This is actually something also, if you are in a situation that you are getting a ton of walks, you don't want to go for like thin calls for your whole stack, because you want to be on that table a long time.
Yeah.
Ace queen off. What shall we do here?
This could be min raised as an inducer.
Yeah, min raise. Oh, we are having a race here. What do we do then?
Then we just shove.
Yep. And Callion said that stack-wise it's a clear open fold. Yeah, if our opponent would be an aggressive guy. But in general, I also like those kind of hands that are going to be close. I'm liking to raise or limp stab those to see how my opponent reacts to limp stabs. Because I think that people with those kind of stacks are going to make mistakes. Mistakes in those kind of situations, and it's better than earlier, I know. Ace-6 suited.
Mean raising this?
Yeah, I think that's going to be good. It's actually not that far away that it would be best as a shove. I don't think that that's going to be that far away. The problem is that we are not getting blinds. You are getting checked, you are having a flush draw and a gut shot.
Yeah, see betting somewhere around 5,000.
I think that's a good sizing. You want to make it sizable here. Half a pot is the basic. And we are getting walks again. That's one of the signs of a good game, that you are having a good game when you are getting walks all the time. The tougher the games are, usually the less you are getting walks. There are opponents that are going to wanna play as. And king 5 off, I think that's going to be a standard race. Opponent just flat calls. What do we do on the flop?
I would see bet this.
Yeah, even though we are having high card equity here. And actually we can't. Our opponent bets into us.
It's a really small bet. I think folding or then just raising here as a bluff.
Folding or raising as a bluff. I don't actually like either. Like,
okay.
If I want to bluff, I would prefer calling and then seeing what my opponent does on the next read.
Yes,
And if
that
I'm
makes.
wanting to take a bluff, I would rather like call here and then, if he checks, then bet the turn, or have another option in there. I'm thinking that that's probably better. And folding, I like, but I'm thinking a raising here it's usually more expensive, and we don't have as much information on our opponent as we would if we would just call this and go for the next.
Yeah.
Now we have raised and we have turned our hand that would have some showdown value, especially when the turn is a kind of a blank. And we have turned it into a bluff on the flop already. What do we do on the turn?
Well, maybe I would just give up here because he looks pretty strong and don't want to grow the pot anymore.
I wouldn't actually giving up isn't probably, but I'm going for a cheap showdown here.
Yeah.
And when our opponent bets for a half a pot, I'm thinking that it's time to give up the hand already.
Yeah.
And this is also an opponent that I think he hasn't played that well thus far. So I'm thinking that there will be value in. I think that there will be value in abusing the opponent and having the next hands to go so. And having a larger effective stack size. Because I think that you should have a clear skill advantage on your opponent. Opponent min raises, you are having pocket kings on a big blind. What do you do?
3 betting somewhere around $7,500 or something like that.
Probably go between 8 and 9, but it's really hard to make a mistake here with pocket kings. What do you do? What would you like to do on the flop and why?
See bet it and um, yeah, see betting somewhere around eight. I would, yeah, 8,000 would be a good sizing, I think.
Yeah, there's still a chance for your opponent to go over you, and you're probably going for broke if your opponent re-raises.
Yeah,
So, are we sticking with the plan and going for broke?
yeah, shoving here.
You are probably 5 betting this.
Okay.
No, this is only a call to your opponent's 4-bet. With these effective stack sizes. Creative lines, creative lines. Your opponent hit the flop pretty well, but... Well, that's the power of doing a small 3-bet, because your opponents can call you with pretty random stuff and just hope that they're... And this should be an easy shove. Opponent calls, you get a flush, you win. Congrats.
Thanks.
But well, I think now it's time for a small, like putting this coaching together. First of all, thank you. It has been a pleasure having you here as always. I remember that these are fun sessions, so even though we have talked for 3 hours, I think that this has been a fun session. If we are thinking about what are some consistent stuff, even when you said that there is like the small stacked play would be pretty well in order and pretty easy to check. I think that there are still some spots on where to shove, where to min raise, and there might be some special cases also that we discussed that would require some attention, like the set mining when you are getting really great odds. And one other thing that I think that consistently we had here on the early stages was that I think that you are probably not thinking on your opponent's range enough in the post-flop situations. Like there are multiple times that you are having almost no risk in c-betting, and you are having or not almost no risk in c-betting, but like there were multiple spots that there is like you are on the river and your opponent's range is your opponent's range consists only of hands that are not very strong, and you are yourself having a strong hand, and there are a lot of spots that there wouldn't be that much risk to bet, but you have elected, or I think there are a few spots that would be good spots to raise or bet fold the river, so you could get some additional value, and some spots that you could have gotten more with betting. And but I think that's something that's to be expected for an MTT player, because there aren't that much post-flop training in the general games.
Yeah.
And I must say that I'm no expert in post-flop either, but I think that we had a good mix of also players that are on our chat, so there were some pretty good comments and something to probably look later on as well. But I hope that this is useful as well, because I think that there were unique spots that I think that you can learn, and I think I could learn as well. Like there was the one spot I remember with the king queen suited that you locked yourself in your time bank, and I think that was one spot that I made a complete U-turn, and I think I probably learned something there because even though I think that my opponent's range is going to be tight, it's still going to be our hand is still going to be strong enough to just go for it with those stack sizes.
Yeah. That,
Is there? I think this is what I had to say for the to put this coaching session together. Is there something you wanna say or you wanna ask or?
well, not sure. I was a little surprised that I made so many mistakes with the small stack there, but some of the mistakes were pretty clear to me that I should shove or fold, but then I have done something different on the table, but maybe it's not automatic enough yet, so I might do those mistakes in gameplay situations, even though if I have more time to think them, I can make the right decision. But I think that's just going hands more through
Yeah,
with.
that is something that it usually fixes itself when you are going through your hands. And as you said that it was the morning session, so you'll probably need to have like more coffee. So
Yeah, might be.
then morning sessions are going to get easier.
Yeah, I played last night. I played an evening session and then had a couple of hours to sleep and then morning session. So, but yeah, but still the situation should be that uh, uh, the the automatic what's the word I should.
Autopilot.
Yeah, it should be a bit better because I see a lot of hands there that should be played differently, even in such a small amount of hands. So
But I think that there is like one good spot or like one really bright spot in your game, then I'm thinking that most of the MTT players that if like I'm winning 2 trophies in the morning that I don't need to improve at that point, that I'm already winning those games. But I think that when you are having the attitude of oh well I'm winning but I can still improve, I think that's really valuable for these, and like you don't need to play perfectly but always the better you are playing and the more you are exploiting your opponents, and the those are always going to be things that are going to increase your edge and going to increase your bankroll.
yeah,
And probably if there is something else that you want to say to our viewers is that go listen to more Dirge Eternal and Northern Insomnia Project, and what other bands do you even have?
yeah. There should be an album in the spring, in the fall, Dirge Eternal album. So it should be available on internet and on some record stores.
So actually you said on the Finnish forums that you hadn't played gigs in a while and you have started again. So is that part of the when you are making a new album also?
Yes, we are negotiating a record deal at the moment. So when the album comes out, I think we will have some kind of small tour then. But since we haven't played any gigs, it was like a training gig in a small pub here. So we're slowly getting activated again.
Yeah. But oh well. I think now I have spoken to what I had to say, and I'd have to say that today has been exceptionally good with the chat and the participation. So I'm giving 2 thumbs up for everybody following and everybody in the chat. It was a really good evening.
Yes, thanks.
And I'd probably just going to say that good luck, as if you would need it in Riihimäki. And when you are going far, far away to Vegas, we want to hear from you. You and hopefully our English community will also hear what's the big city all about, or what's Sin City all about.
Yeah, I will update 95% of what's happening there.
And you are saying
So,
you are update 95% what's happening there, and you said every day I'm going to play poker. So
yeah.
it's going to be probably what hotels are going to have good tournaments.
Yeah.
Or are you going to play cash games when you are going to Vegas, or just
Uh,
sticking to tournaments?
I might play some cash games. I have heard that there are pretty good cash games there, but I think I'm mainly focusing on tournaments. There are pretty quick structures, so it won't take all day, so I will have time to do something else too.
Yeah, I thought that there was interesting tournaments. Like you said that you are staying in the MGM hotel, and I watched when you posted the structure to your blog that they advertised it that this is a deep stack tournament. And then it's like I'm looking at it, so you are starting 300 big blinds deep, but after 2 hours you are having about 10 big blinds, and after 3 hours 2.5 big blinds for your starting stack. So it's like
Yeah.
a deep stack hyper turbo.
Yeah.
Like in live poker, I don't think that it would be a reach to say that if you are playing 2 hours full ring, you are probably getting somewhere around 40 hands for your 2 hours, and then you are having 10 big blinds stack. So
Yeah. I think it's a good that the tournaments are fast because Beas is writing on the chat. Yeah, it's good that the tournaments are fast because don't want to play like 15-hour tournaments there, and also I think there's a huge advantage that you can gain in short stack play in live games since people aren't available aren't are aware of their stack sizes that much. So I like fast tournaments live.
yeah, I remember that when you were in Tallinn playing the tournament, and it took forever. Like Kaleon and me and people were going to the city, and I'm happy that we didn't wait for you to win the tournament, because it took something like 5 hours after we had lost hope that you are coming to the city. But it was it was a good win for you. So
Yeah, it was really important to win it because it would have been terrible to like be eight or it was six places paid, so it would have been terrible to go out without money and after playing like 12 hours there. So
yeah, but I think that's also going to, in a way, that if you are having the concentration and if you are having the concentration and the ass to just sit on the tables and stay on the tables, I'm thinking that it's going to also be a huge advantage to the live players. Like I don't think that most of the players are used to playing 8 or 10 hours a day.
yeah,
So that's going to be also one strength. But if you are playing fast tournaments, then there is also something else to see. I've heard the shows are pretty good, and Cirque du Soleil has had some pretty nice shows.
yeah.
Modern Circus.
I think there's David Copperfield is in our hotel performing twice a day every day, so that might be cool too.
Yeah, but we'll hear more about that. But probably we are just hearing from you and Jones that final table the tournament again, and it took so long that we haven't had any time to do anything else. And
Yeah.
then there is two pale white guys coming back with huge bags of money and a bracelet. I hope.
Yeah. I think that you can. There's some limits how much cash you can carry through the airport. So if I win something like 11K, I must throw 1K away and come with give it to some homeless or something like that.
That's also a good, like,
Don't want to do any extra paperwork there.
that's actually also like a good plan that you are taking part in $1,000 VSOP. So if you are winning 300,000, but yeah, just throw that 290,000 away, and because you don't want to carry more through the customs to do the paperwork. Oh well. Actually, PS 2011 is in Vegas already. Are you going to see him, or if he's coming back to Finland before you are arriving there?
Yes, I think he's 3 or 4 days simultaneously there with us, so we will see him there, and hope he has some money left so we can play heads up against him. And yeah,
So that's going to be an idea. But and no limit, and only inform if you have more. Yeah, there's the custom declaration, so it should be like only one form. So it don't throw if you are winning the VSOP bracelet. Don't throw rest of the money away and come home only with 10,000. It will be worth it. The paperwork isn't that much.
and I heard a rumor that PS is he has lost his own money and the money he has borrowed, and but he still has some money that he has stolen left, so I'm going for those.
Oh, but on that bombshell, I think it's going to be the time to end today. If you are going to sleep, have a good night. If you are still playing poker, may this be a winning night for you. Goodbye.